You can't keep a great game down, and today's subject proves just that. Today, we're diving into a TTRPG so dang good, I had to do a second video on it. Dragonbane, as many of you likely know, is a TTRPG put out by the Swedish game company Free League, or Free League in English. The company states they are dedicated to speculative fiction, but I can't think there's anything speculative about the success of this iteration of the game. I say iteration as this is a game that has been kicking around since '82, and that fact alone intrigued me a great deal when I first heard about it about half a year or so ago. See, back in '82, the game was called Dragonbane, Swedish for Demons and Dragons. It was put out by the gaming company Adventurespel, or Adventure Games, later renamed Target Games. However, it wasn't a gaming company per se that got all this started. One of Target Games' founders, Frederick Momberg, had been living here in the States, working for various publishers and helping to import war games back to his homeland. It was here in the States he got exposed to TTRPGs. Back then, war games were the big thing. TTRPGs were only just starting to poke their heads out of the hole. Now, Dungeons and Dragons was around about this time and it had made some minor inroads into Sweden, but there was always that language barrier. Momberg had the natural and logical notion, hey, let's make one that's in Swedish. While staying in California, Malberg just happened to be renting a room from none other than Steve Perrin, who you might recall having created a little TTRPG called RuneQuest. Playtesting Stormbringer and Call of Cthulhu for Chaosium at the time, Malberg found his rule set. Target then bought the license to publish under those rules, cobbled it together with a developing RPG called Worlds of Wonder, and they had Drakarok. However, since Target was a reseller and not a publisher, they opted to sprout off another arm to do the publishing, the aforementioned Adventurespel. They did a rework of these rules in '84 with their second edition, which introduced the hugely popular duck race mallards, incorporated from the fantasy world setting of Glorantha, I believe. In '85, they started to really switch things over with their expert set. This set introduced hit locations, which is awesome and something I swear by here at the house, but also the use of roll under d20 for checks instead of Chaosium's percentage-based system. Which, if you look at a d20 and you imagine every 1 point converts to 5%, all you're really losing from one to the other is nuance. So, potato, potato, if you ask me. Anyway, in '91, they incorporated all this into the base set 4th edition, so no more expert or basic, there was just one system now. In '94, they put out a 5th edition that, while it had minor changes, it was mainly to introduce a campaign setting. Now, the late '90s hit Target hard, and they discontinued their publishing of the game. The rights were sold to Paradox Entertainment, who then gave them to Riot Minds, who would publish numerous iterations and try a lot of different options throughout their run. I gloss over this era as the rules therein look very little like what we're covering today. In August 2021, Riot Minds sold things to Free League, which is where we find ourselves today. Dragonbane would be successfully crowdfunded a year later, with editions produced in Swedish, naturally, German, Danish, and thank goodness, English. While I admire the northern languages and cultures, and I'm pretty sure my roots are traced back there, I'm an ignorant, public educated hillbilly and can't speak a lick of those languages, so thank you, Free League. Anyhow, I'm sure it'll come as a great surprise to you all that I found myself exposed to Dragonbane via YouTube. Some of the channels I watch, like Justin over at Books, Bricks, and Boards, Geek Gamers, not to mention the legendary Trevor Duvall at Me, Myself, and Die, who inspires me to keep trying with my terrible voice acting, but I digress. All of these channels did their own coverage of the system, and I was hooked. I saw the gameplay. I saw how closely it followed my beloved AD&D 2E, but was also very different. I got me the box set, which I have here with me today, and did a playthrough of it. Even did a review of it, about a half a year ago on my other channel, Gen X-Men, but I've learned so much since then I just had to do another review. Now, let's talk about the specifics. If you're intrigued about this game, I'll give you the same advice everyone gives because it's good advice. Get the box set. It only sets you back about $40 at the time of this recording on Amazon, and you can get a copy straight from Free League's website as well. It is worth every penny. The biggest thing you'll notice is that over here in the States right now, Everybody wants, at least 60 bucks or more for their core rule book, and then they'll want 40 or 50 bucks more for every subsequent book, and that's all you get. This box set, for about 20 bucks less than you'll pay for an American product, gets you a set of their special dice, which are beautiful, get you a bunch of these cardboard standees, and let me tell you, these are hand down the best standees I have ever encountered. Pop right out of the frame. No frayed bits, no burning the edges, no rips or tears. Solid and just, I've never encountered quality this good. I don't know how to convey that. You also get a big, beautiful painted map of the default world, which you can take it or leave it. You get a hexagonal map, which I'm sure everyone's got 100 of those laying around, but still. You also get a big old clump of adventures, and these are good. The whole book itself is structured in a campaign style. Chapter 1 gives you your intro information. Chapter 2 dives into the opening scene to get your characters in there. And Chapter 3 covers a location called Outskirt that just drowns you in NPCs and locale info and such. Chapter 4 gives you some random encounter and journey info before diving into almost a dozen chapters. This thing's a big old campaign, you all. Moving on, though, or should I say, jumping back to cover the actual rules. Got a little ahead of myself there. It's easy to do with Dragonbane. Now, the rule book is just over 100 pages and it wastes no space on frivolity. It's a soft cover, and I've been debating getting the hardcover. However, like all products in this book, it's made of superb materials. I've been using and abusing this thing for months, almost a year now, and it ain't showing even the slightest bit of wear. It's very nice. The book jumps right into the most important part of the game, your character. You've got your kin, which is race to us D&D nerds. You got your profession, which is your class. And you're not limited to fighter, mage, rogue, priest, thief, etc. Now, it has all those classes, professions, but it also has artisan, mariner, merchant, and scholar, because anyone can go adventuring in this world. It's sweet. You roll your age, because age is actually important in the system. It impacts how many skills you start with. You get yourself a name, roll your stats, which are called attributes. Get your derived stats, like hit points and so on. Determine your skills, which, like I said, are impacted by your age. Like your kin, which gives you a special ability. You get to choose another special ability to really define what you're good at. Then get your gear, round out your appearance and such, and you're good to go. Chapter 3 discusses the various skills, and there's plenty of them. Chapter 4 goes over combat, which is interesting. It's a roll under system, so you're trying to roll under your skill on d20, but also this system is deadly. Every time you swing, you're having to think, do I swing or do I save it in case I need to dodge or parry? The combat is nerve-wracking in the system, I'm telling you. Oh, and one odd thing about combat, there are certain enemies classified as monsters, and these folks do not roll to hit. They automatically hit every turn. Then you simply roll on their handy dandy little chart to see which attack option they used. I love rolling on a chart to see what attack an enemy is using each turn rather than deciding. That is awesome. I'm not a fan of a monster auto hitting though, especially ones with multiple attacks. That's one thing I would consider changing with homebrew rules, but FYI. Chapter 5 delves into the magic system. You spend one of your derived resources to cast spells, your willpower points. And it's pretty cool. When you run out of willpower, you can burn hit points to fuel spells, so that's pretty cool. Spellcasting is just like any skill. You have to roll under your skill on d20 to actually cast. And yeah, points are lost if you fumble a spell. So you really want to max out your casting skill if you're going to play a caster, FYI. Chapter 6 covers the gear in the game. Chapter 7 is a bestiary, which has about 15 to 20 entries to get you started. However, I highly recommend getting Free League's bestiary to augment these options, which I'll cover next Tuesday, so tune in for that. Finally, Chapter 8 covers adventuring information like journey mechanics and so on. And there's also this sweet little booklet all about solo gaming. It has a little solo adventure, tons of info about solo adventuring and such, options for solo characters, and a tiny little oracle that has become a staple of use for my adventures. Not only this system either. No, sir. This puppy has been dropped into all my RPGs, the superheroes, the Star Wars, etc., etc. I love it. Generic and just perfect for use everywhere, but I digress. Finally, you've got these cards. Now, I don't often get excited about cards. I'm a dice guy, but I freaking love these. There's a deck of improvised weapons you can draw from. See what objects are laying around you can bash somebody with. You got adventure cards that can spawn whole adventures right there. You got treasure cards, which are mostly just gold type things. Dragonbane ain't all about, showering the PCs with magic items, but there's some in there. And finally, my new favorite, the initiative cards. Everybody at the table draws a card and goes on that number. On the surface, I was like, no way. But in playing it, I found it, and I found that I just absolutely love it. It might need tweaking later on, but I love it as of now. And that is the box set. That's the version of Dragonbane I use here at the house, and the version I would encourage each and every one of you to run out and try. It's fast, it's super fun, and it lives up to its moniker of mirth and mayhem. If you're at all familiar with the old gaming videos on my other channel, you'll know how dangerous and hilarious the gaming can be. Check that out if you're curious. Now, I have gone on long enough about this here game system. Thank you, one and all, for stopping by, tuning in, giving me a moment of your time. I'm going to pass turn. Let you all gather around the table, roll some dice of your own. Let me know down in the comments of what y'all think once you've tried out this here game system. And while you're at it, pop in a good movie, watch a cartoon, read a comic, get a little exercise, drink you some water, and as always, have a good